All right. Hey, what is going on, everybody? And welcome back to the PV National Podcast. This is episode 5 of our 5 series educational. And today we've got a very special guest. Mr. Zach Sasser is in the building. He is the #1 detach and reset individual sales rep that we've had the pleasure of working with over the last 8 months. Over the last 8 months, he's brought in individually over 10 detach and resets and earning over $60,000 in commissions just off solar detach and reset work. He's your young closer, right? Has been like kind of since you got into Apex and stuff like that's been like your tag, correct? The young closer.
It's not trademarked. I tried to trademark it, but yeah. So, yeah.
That's what it's been. Okay, so I know he was with Apex for a long time, and we'll get a little bit into that. Kind of explaining to some of the people who might not know what Apex is and how that was kind of like a transition from Apex to now roofing with your brother over at Lone Star Exterior. Today we're gonna go over a lot about you, Zach, just in general, kind of your sales background, talk about why sales, some key success drivers in the roofing business. And a little bit about how our partnership has shaped a little bit of y'all's success when it comes to jobs that have solar. Yeah, dude. So let's just kind of get right into it. How did you get started in the roofing industry? And I'll preface this with Apex, because I know it wasn't. And you can answer for me. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it was Apex first, and then the actual roofing industry. Correct?
Somewhat. So,
Okay.
I grew up in a roofing family. So my dad, after 2008 mortgage crash, he went into roofing, started selling for a couple companies, some bigger companies that you would probably know. And so that was back in, man, he probably started around 2010. He did oil and gas there for a while. So since like 2010, my dad's been in the industry for almost 2 decades.
Oh man.
Through high school, my first job was like working at Chick-fil-A, just because like I liked eating Chick-fil-A. So I was
Who
like,
doesn't?
I'll go work. And then my junior year in high school, a hailstorm hit Denton, which is where I'm from, and I was like, man, if I just sold a handful of roofs, I'd make more than I am at Chick-fil-A. But I'm like, I don't have to spend all that time
Right.
at Chick-fil-A. And so I did. I quit Chick-fil-A. I went into roofing sales. And I was like, man, it's cool. I enjoy making the money. It's like a big boy job versus like Chick-fil-A.
Sure.
$15 and 12. I think it was like $9 an hour
At the
actually.
time, yeah.
For sure. So, well, I don't know, man. I was torn between going to college, not going to college. Ended up choosing go to college just because my dad was like, man, I've been in sales. I've had some great years. I've had some really bad years. So
Yeah.
if I had a college degree, it probably would have just made those bad years a little bit easier. So I went to college and studying marketing. Really started getting into like digital marketing and SEO and building websites, ranking them #1 so that whenever you search tree service Plano, you show up #1. I have one of the top sites in Plano for tree service.
Okay.
So I started doing like digital marketing, really enjoyed it.
And that tree service, that was for another company that you were doing marketing for?
For another company, but I also did some for myself. So like I like roofing Corinth and roofing. There's a Denton one as well. So I like ranked them, and when people call them, they're like, "Hey, do you do roofing services?" It forwards to. It used to be other companies. Then I started like, "Hey, now I have a tree service company. Now
Right.
send it to Brett's roofing company." But I didn't really want to do the roofing thing. I kind of wanted to like go do my own thing in a sense. And what that led to was I went to college, went to University of North Texas, studied marketing, and the first semester there, I got an opportunity to go intern for Ryan Stewman. You mentioned Apex, the hardcore closer. So
Yep.
my dad was a part of Apex, which is one of the largest business associations in DFW, or not just DFW, the country. So I was like, man, I definitely want to go intern for him. Like I'll do it for free. He ended up offering like $15 an hour, and I was like, yeah, if I'm gonna get paid and get to be surrounded by this dude, like,
Sure.
because Ryan was always like the local entrepreneur. Like he always had not one Lamborghini, 2 Lamborghinis, not one McLaren, 2 McLaren. So he's like down the road in Plano. So I always knew who he was. He ran a very large Facebook group called Sales Talk with Sales Pros.
Okay.
And so I interned for him. About 6 months in, for about 6 months I was intern. Another 6 months I started doing sales, wasn't too good. Another 6 months, kind of started to get the hang of it. And at 18 months into being an intern, it was my first month being his top sales producer. From there, it's kind of raps, just like constantly getting better, constantly competing against the other guys. And I never really lost that title. Maybe a month here and there, but I was consistently his top sales producer. So yeah, they started calling me Young Closer.
Love it.
Got a book out called Young Closer actually. So I just basically man, I've been so grateful and so blessed to be surrounded by the people that I've been surrounded by. Apex has, you think of the largest roofing companies in DFW, their CEOs, vice presidents, sales managers, they were likely a part of Apex. So I mean, got to learn them, know them, learn their perspective on sales and building businesses and culture and all that sort of stuff. And
And how old were you kind of like at this time whenever you were ramping up with Apex and kind of that 18 months in? Like how did you graduate for you went to North Texas, right?
I went to North Texas. I started interning I was 2 weeks. It was December 2020. No,
Okay.
2019. So I had just turned 20.
Got it.
So the first 6 months I was 20. The next 6 months I was still 20. Next 6 months
You turned
I was
21.
21, and I hit my first month being top sales producer.
Got it.
Ended up, I think I spent like 5 years with him. So I just left this last March to go full time Lone Star. But over the course of it, my brother had Lone Star Exterior, this roofing company that he was, wanting to grow, wanting to scale. And I'm sitting here learning from just incredible like roofing and business. Like these are the guys that have been selling to private equity and, like for checks, bro, driving around in
Yeah, no, crazy.
incredible cars.
So quick question on Apex, like is this like a like kind of construction centered group, or is it like, give me a little bit of like the
Yeah.
lay of the land on kind of what Apex is, and kind of, you say top sales rep selling what,
For sure.
yeah.
So Apex, the best way I explained it, and I had to explain it a lot because I sold it.
Sure.
A ton,
Yeah. Sell me on it.
It's kind of two aspects of it. There's a
Okay.
coaching and training aspect, and then there's a networking aspect. So the coaching and training is like there's 3 different levels based off of where you are in business.
Got it.
Start off, you basically need to generate leads, close sales. Once you do that, you can gain enough income to reach the next level. Next level is, people always talk about leveling up in life.
Sure.
Really, in business, it's not leveling up by making an extra 100K. It's leveling up by becoming a team leader. Learning how to hire and train. Those are the next 2 skills that you need to learn: how to hire and train. Once you get those, then you already have an organization. You're probably crushing it. You need to focus on culture and leadership.
Yep.
So it's really like masters sales and lead generation. Then you master hiring and training. Then you master leadership and culture. So those 3 different levels, it ranges. First level, I think it's like $1,000 right now for lifetime access. Top level, it was at its height, it was like 60,000. So I mean,
Okay. So you're selling, it was big ticket item sales.
For sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because that's an interesting concept, because I'm in a networking group where we talk about kind of like the scale going from motivation to momentum and then to mentorship. So it's kind of like, sounds like that's relatively a similar scale, talking about, okay, we've got momentum, we're generating leads, and then we have motivation, we're building momentum once we can hire and train, and then really where it comes into play, where you really leave that lasting impact, is in the mentorship, right? Learning how to lead other people. So it sounds like that's the framework in which you guys operated on that side.
Sounds similar.
Similar,
The one
not
thing
obviously not the exact same, but
the one thing I liked about Apex was it was so like specific. Like in a world of like gurus, internet gurus and stuff like that, like just like selling.
Yeah,
Bullshit.
like David Goggins, go run 400 miles and you'll be a millionaire type shit. I'm not saying he does that, but like
sure.
just the concept of like, oh, just all you gotta do is go grind and you're fine.
Yeah, it was very specific. It was very step by step. Like, hey, do this, then do this, then do this. And
Right.
dude, I mean, it's awesome because I'm kind of like a poster child to like, hey, shit works.
It works, yeah.
I'm so grateful for Ryan Stewman and the blessing that he had. I was just hog hunting with him this last weekend.
No,
So
yeah, I've
we're
seen
so
that.
cool.
Yeah.
But no, dude, so grateful. But I got to meet. So that's the coaching and training aspect. The networking aspect is really where the value is. I just getting plugged in with those type of people. It wasn't so much construction focused, but for some reason we just crushed it with roofers and general contractors. So, like I said, you name the top people in really the country, and a lot of them were our clients.
Yeah.
Correct.
That's awesome, man. So, given all that, right, and this whole time Brett has had Lone Star Exterior. So I guess what was like the kind of major deciding factor to say, okay, hey, like I've learned all this. Now I actually want to maybe, go do something different. What was kind of like that deciding factor that made you want to say, okay, hey, obviously top producer there, really, really well connected, obviously very successful in that role. What made you kind of want to make the switch to going with your brother at Lone Star?
For sure. So actually, I was one thing that we did with Apex was we took a private jet trip down to Cabo. Stayed in. If you've ever been down there, there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
neighborhood off the cliffs, Pedregal. Stayed in like multi-million-dollar mansions, and it was awesome. But one time we went down there, and there was a guy named Sean Whalen. He's actually Lions Not Sheep. If you've ever seen their shirts. He was sitting there, and one of the dudes asked him a question. It was like, "Hey, Sean, like, how do I get to that next level?" And he paused, and he was like, "What the fuck does that even mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're a multimillionaire. You rode here in a private jet. You're in a multi-million-dollar mansion. Like, what does that mean? Like, what do you want?" And at first, I was like, "Dude, this dude's brash. Like, that was a weird answer." And then I was like, "He's actually, man, he's accomplished some stuff in his life. Let me see if he actually. Let me think about it. Let me see if he actually meant something by that." And I started thinking. I was like, "Man, what do I want?" This was about 4 months into being top sales producer, my first month. And I'll tell you this, man, there was just some stuff that happened with other sales reps there that, like, I just didn't really like the instability of, like, yeah, any time, like, if you say something wrong, it's like you're out. Like,
Right.
you built an entire foundation, an entire empire under somebody else's umbrella, and at any point it could be gone.
Right.
So that's why I was like, man, I really like the idea of like learning something, doing something, teaching something. So
Sure.
like you learn it and then you have to do it. If not, you're just a learner. Like, and there's lifelong learners out there. Oh, I've read all these books. I read 52 books a year. How much money do you make this year?
Don't make it,
what
yeah.
did those books do for you?
If you can't apply it, then it don't matter.
So I was like, man, I don't like the idea of just being in this internet guru space forever and never actually building something. So in 2021, Brett was working in the business still. So it was him and another sales rep. And I was like, man, let me help you, teach you, these things, hire and train, start working on the business instead of in the business. He's like, let's do it. So I came in, I started getting like an override off anybody that hired and trained. Started setting up systems, operations, stuff like that. And what started with one sales rep ended up, man, we were about 20 sales reps whenever it was March. And I was like, man, it's just getting tougher and tougher to, one, balance my time, but then two, have all my guys fully bought in on Lone Star Exterior. And
When
then
you're over there
I'm just
doing
double
something
dipping,
else.
you know?
Yeah.
So I just had a conversation with Ryan. He's like, dude, I knew the time was coming. I knew it was only a matter of time. Go do it. You got my blessing. So back in March, that's when I went full time. And it was, dude, it's been incredible. It's been about, what, 8 months now? That would be about
I guess
8 months.
because the timelines kind of work out crazy because whenever we got linked up, that must have been right when you were getting in.
Right around there.
Like
I think we got
close.
linked up February, and then I think we
Okay.
went like full time in. Well, I think our first couple deals were my solar deals, so I think those were the first ones that we started pushing through PV National.
Gotcha. So I guess this is the kind of a loaded question, and before we kind of get into like how we work together, I want to know from you. We've had some conversations, obviously off camera. I've gotten to know you decently well over the last 6-8 months or so. If why sales? I know we could talk about the money, right? And anyone who's in this industry understands the income opportunity when it comes to sales and roofing. But I guess for you individually, why sales? Like, what drew you to that? Because you went for marketing at UNT, correct? And then you started doing a little bit of sales and roofing, and then it kind of turned into this thing with what drew you to that? And then I guess after that, what do you think the 3 key drivers are of success inside roofing sales? So why sales? And then 3 key drivers as to what keeps the ball rolling. Because everyone knows this business does this. How are you guys trying to keep it linear? Because you guys have done a fantastic job at that.
I appreciate that. Why sales? Growing up, I always did really good in school. I know that's opposite. Usually it's like, oh, I was a C+ student, went
Right.
into entrepreneurship. I was really good at school. I loved it. And I thought I wanted to be an engineer. I thought I wanted to go to Stanford, become an engineer, stuff like that.
I can see that low key.
But like also like you can't,
Right.
because like I'm not going to be sitting at a table or sitting at a desk all day long. So, dude, 8th grade, I was in all these advanced classes. I was taking algebra as an 8th grader. I was like the only kid that took like all pre-AP classes.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there and I just have like a nervous breakdown, anxiety attack one night. Every single day I would come home, a whole day at school, and then come home and have like 4 hours of homework. And I just had a breakdown, and my dad's like, dude, why are you doing this? Like, it's college. It doesn't even matter. Like, Stanford's not even going to care if you do pre-AP in 8th grade. And I just kind of like, my dad was always in sales. He kind of sold me, but like I don't want to say he did sell me
Sure.
because like
He just gave you another, like, a little bit of a perspective shift,
that's
sounds
all I
like.
needed, bro.
Yeah.
And I saw sales as very similar to like engineering, problem solving, all that sort of stuff, but like
Sure.
with a purpose.
Yeah.
Like if you solve this problem, you get a paycheck and you can go use that paycheck however you see fit. So for me, I'm really big on like freedom. I love investing into real estate,
Yeah.
have a real estate portfolio, love passive income, all that sort of stuff because growing up as a child, we had really good years. So I got to see what was possible, but we had really bad years too.
Yeah.
I would walk in on my parents counting quarters, pennies, stuff like that. So like I got to see both sides of the spectrum.
Yep.
And it's given me a really cool perspective on like, hey, here's the value of a dollar, but here's also what's possible if you live and do things correctly, invest your money, live below your means, that sort of stuff. So that's why sales, bro. I mean, you say, like besides the money, but like it's hard to like say besides the money whenever it's like, I also look at it this way. Sales is like a personal development
There you
plan
go. Yep.
with a pay plan attached.
For
So
sure.
the more, if you want to make more money, become a better person. We had a team meeting. That's why a team meeting earlier today, and that's what I was talking to my team about. I was like, dude, like if you want 2026 to be different from 2025, don't just change that number from a 5 to a 6. Change who you are.
Yep.
What are you going to take away from your life? What are you going to add to your life? Because you can't add something without taking something away. How are we going to become better people so that then we can become better in the business?
Yeah, I mean, that's, you hear it all the time in this industry. Like, roofing sales is personal development in disguise, right? And I think that's such a key driver for, how this business actually, runs. I mean, I've been in the insurance restoration business for a decade, and I've seen so many people that, even who I went to like, elementary and middle school with, and, they had really rough upbringings and they had a rough go at it in life. And now you see them and they've completely turned their life around. They're not recognizable because they've actually put in the work. They've developed themselves to be better. And in turn, they've built a great business and they do really, really well in sales. So I think that's it is so true, is that it is personal development disguised with a payment plan. So I really like the way you phrase that. So let's talk about like roofing sales just in general. What do you think some of the key drivers are to being successful in roofing sales? Whether that's actually writing down a plan, writing down a weekly schedule, whatever it is. Like, what do you think some of those key drivers are inside of roofing sales for someone to be successful and kind of have some of the similar success that you've had?
That's a good question, man, because I see so many people turnover in roofing is just like it's incredible.
Bananas, yeah.
And I think it really is, dude, it's what you make it. That's why you see some people come in and so whenever I left Apex and I was like, dude, full-time Lone Star, my first 60 days I sold $400,000 in roofs.
That's insane.
And I think what led to that is one, obviously my background with Apex and understanding sales. Once you learn sales, you can sell anything. That's why I love it. Is my first 6 months wasn't really good at sales. Next 6 months, kind of started to get the hang of it. Next 6 months, pretty damn good at it, bro. And when you compare that to like the type of money that you can make in sales versus like what other jobs would you have to do? Like an attorney, a doctor.
Yeah.
You have to go to school for 8, 12, I don't even know,
Yeah.
years. You're talking about 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. Dude.
Come on. Yeah, you dedicate yourself for 18 months and you can change your life,
So you learn sales, bro. You can learn anything basically. So obviously I don't want to negate, my background in sales. I was selling business coaching and stuff like that. But a couple other things, bro. I think self-discipline is like the number one thing that sets the high performers in really any industry, but specifically roofing versus like the people that are like sell a couple roofs, here and there and all that sort of stuff. Like I don't really see roofing as like the best industry to like hop in and make like $50,000 to $100,000. I think like if that's your goal, dude, there's so many other less stressful industries to do. Like roofing truly is like the industry that you're gonna go into and just like run it up, bro. And eventually, it's not just like the way I see it is like learn it, do it, teach it. You're not just gonna be in sales forever, bro. If you do things correctly, then eventually you're gonna start building a team. And that's one thing that I love about Lone Star Exterior is that's how we position it. Is our top sales rep, he came to us in 2022, January 2022. He was my first hire, and he started doing sales. Came to us from another company instantly. Sales went up, but then from there he just kept getting better. We started putting team under him. He started teaching them, leading them, started getting some overrides. So now he's literally building a business within the Lone Star Exterior business, which is really how we look at it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Yeah, and it's a, I think it's interesting too. Like, yeah, the self-discipline, I talk to, I've so many people that I've talked to over the years, I even tell them like just as simple as like if you're going to get started in roofing sales, like and you're coming from a 9 to 5 and you were sold on the fact of like setting your own schedule, like you got to really set that schedule because I've seen so many people just do this, right? They start off hot and they don't actually treat or write down their plan to actually succeed. And I think that also comes from like, how important when you say like choosing the right roofing company is because you get somebody that comes in that doesn't know anything about the industry, that you're a 1099 contractor, you are responsible for your own shit in the roofing industry. And so how important would you say like the decision and getting the correct mentorship, how important that is on the roofing company? Because all these roofing companies, they're going to try to sell you on certain kind of factors. Oh, you get to set your own schedule. You can make $200,000 a year, all this different kind of stuff. But how would you like, what would you say to people who are thinking about getting in the roofing industry on how to vet the right roofing company for you?
That's a great question. What I would say is I'm a big believer in is biblical. You can judge a man by his fruits.
For sure.
I would the last part you talked about mentorship.
Mm-hmm.
I would not choose a mentor that doesn't have what I want, and I wouldn't teach other people that don't want what I have. I was telling my team this earlier. I want to be surrounded by people that have what I want. So like they're further ahead than me, they can teach me how to get there, or they want what I have and I can pour into them. At that point, you're the same person. Like you're just at a different stage in the journey, but like you're on the same frequency, you're going after the same goal. So I would say mentorship, bro. Like at the end of the day, there's so many different companies that offer different splits. Like truthfully, we have one of the best splits.
I agree.
That doesn't mean that someone can't increase it like by 5% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But is that 5%, is it going to help you become a better person or is it going to take away from that? Because at the end of the day, are we going after a whole grape or a slice of a watermelon? There's different ways to cut it.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think that's a great way that's like a fantastic way to look at it because, we could get into a lot of different weeds on this particular conversation, but no, I mean, I think you're dead on, the mentorship aspect of in this business, I think is the number one reason as to why you should choose. And I think the way that you said that, if you guys are thinking about getting into roofing, like that is the number one thing. I've seen it over the last 10 years. So many people go in these organizations and they do not get poured into properly. And they end up, if they've got a 4 or 5 month nest egg and they don't get mentored properly, all that nest egg is gone because you're paid on 100% commission. Some people do draws, but then they're gonna want that money back. So if you are thinking about getting the roofing industry, which can be astronomically fruitful, please do what Zach said and really look at the mentorship. What are you going to be? And you got to go in with an open heart and open mind and wanting to be coached. If you are going to go, if you come from a corporate world and you're crushing it and everything like that, and you don't think you can learn anything, roofing is not for you. 1,000%, in my opinion.
I think you got to have a chip on your shoulder, to be honest. So like mine coming full time from Apex was like, I've had an immense amount of success over at Apex.
Sure.
Am I going to be used to? Like used to been like, oh, he used to do this.
Sure.
He used to, buy real estate properties. He used to crush sales. Or is it going to be like, nah, dude, like this is like, I was hitting the glass ceiling there. This is how to actually take my income in my life to this next level in my impact. So
yeah, absolutely. We're starting to, there's a, impact income and lifestyle is kind of like what we talk around here. Like, okay, what kind of impact do we want to have? What kind of income do we want to have, right? Like, what does that actually look like? And then what kind of lifestyle do we want to have? And, I think if you frame a lot of that stuff within that framework, I mean, and you really kind of make your decisions based off of impact, income, and lifestyle, you can really start to bring together the fruit and do what you said. Because then that comes to like a total recruiting tool, right? Like you guys over at Lone Star have had like some of the ultimate recruiting tools recently, right? Because the fruit is real. You can't fake that, right?
I say like this. So like whenever you're posting on social media, you need the content and the audience. You can have the best content in the world, but if only your mom, your sister, your aunt sees it, it doesn't do you any good.
It don't matter.
You could have the best audience in the world, literally your ideal clients, property management, real estate agents, insurance agents,
Sure.
or if you're in recruiting sales reps and stuff like that. But if your content sucks, it's not going to do it. In roofing, I see so many people that are just like advertising. Dude, there's some people out there and they get the attention, of course, because usually it's the wrong attention.
Sure.
Usually real recognize real. And That's not the type of following that you want. But some people are just advertising is BS. And then some people are like really good companies, but they don't advertise at all. You got to figure out how to actually have a solid product and a solid service. First sales rep, still with us to this day in an industry where people just churn and burn. You have to have those type of receipts, but then also you have to be able to market it correctly as well, because there's so many bad companies that are just, dude, they get recruits because they're just advertising it, but like you don't know that dude was, I don't want to say it, but I mean you don't know that person has a failing marriage, he's an alcoholic, and he has no assets to show for, and he's in debt, and he's just like funding his lifestyle off credit cards.
Yeah, that's like one of the, and I think looking for mentorship and having discernment inside this business on who you're associating with, I think, because it's pretty much a free for all in the state of Texas when it comes to roofing contractors, right? Like we don't have any licensing requirements from a roofing and internal contracting standpoint. And you as someone who's looking to get into this industry, the discernment and the mentorship, you've got to have both of those if you're going to, land in the right spot and actually be able to build fruit in your life. So, man, that's fantastic. Thank you so much for all that perspective. I think we definitely got a couple gold nuggets out of that. So now let's kind of switch gears, Zach, and let's talk a little bit about kind of how you and I got connected. How did you first hear about PV National? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was our boy Dustin King.
Shout out.
So he's been in Apex for a handful of years, man. So I've known him over there, and he just plugged me in with you one time. He's like, "Hey, who do you use for detach and reset?" I was like, "Man, this company, but I think they're going out of business or something like that." Yeah. And he's like, "Talk to these people, man. They do really good work, but they got really good financial incentives too." And after talking to you, it just kind of seemed like a no-brainer. Kind of sounded too good to be true.
Sure.
And then I was like, "Bro, what do you think about this?" He's like, "Let's give it a shot." Like, worst case scenario, like our company's going out of business. So as long as they like do the detach and reset, and like nothing else they said is real, like at least we got the job done.
At least it was detach and reset, and we can call it a day.
Dude, so I remember asking you, I was like, dude, like, do we have to lock in on like an agreement? You're like, yeah, we're going to do a couple, and then you lock in for an agreement. I was like, let's just do a couple first.
For sure.
And then, dude, like no looking back, it's been absolutely incredible. For multiple reasons, bro. As far as like customer facing, Sage, Braden, they've been wonderful, bro. Just like talking to the customer, it makes us look better. But then on the second front, dude, it's such a tool in our tool belt to be able to go out and offer what you guys offer and be like, hey, this is what we do in a very commoditized industry. Hey, we do class 3 shingles, and every other roofing company does that. Hey, we do XYZ, every other roofing.
We tear down to the decking, yeah.
But I mean, there are
don't get me wrong, but like
for sure,
most companies,
I'll say this, bro. There's some really good companies in DFW. I say it's 95% of them BS, but there's some really good companies. There's some companies that like I truly respect, I look up to, and stuff like that.
Sure.
But yeah, vast majority of them BS. But
so it's even like the barrier to entry is zero.
It's zero.
It's crazy.
So even those 5% that I really look up to, being able to like have these tools in our tool belt that you guys offer, like our partnership, dude, forever grateful. It's been a game changer.
And I appreciate that because, shout out to Dustin King. We've been partnered with them for a long time, and he's been great to us. And I think that in this industry, especially as a subcontractor, where it is, especially the state of our market in detach and resets right now it is truly looked at as a commodity, not a value add to your business. And I think that's kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit about today as well, is how, I guess, let me ask you this. How do you think, and I want to reiterate a little bit back on some of the statistics, okay? So just for the people who do not know, in North Texas, where we live in Dallas-Fort Worth, there's about 3.5% to 4% of houses that actually have solar on them. So for every 100 houses in a neighborhood, there might be 3 to 5 that actually have solar on their house. So for Zach, an individual sales rep, to bring in 10 jobs in the last 7 months is insane, because think about the ratio. Like I don't want to get too far into the numbers, but for him to be able to do that over the course of 7 months as an individual is incredible. Like some of our roofing partners as a whole don't bring us, but 5 jobs a year, which we're so grateful for that, but they're not high volume producers when it comes to solar detach and reset work. So I want to wrap around a little bit to, how does PV National help you close deals without getting too far into the weeds about kind of all, like how everything is set up?
You're gassing me up, bro. But I'm sitting here thinking, man, those numbers don't sound good enough. I gotta up those. So.
Well, we would gladly take those, Zach.
How does PV National help me close deals, bro? It's honestly, it gets to a point where like there are certain days in my schedule that I will drive around hail impacted areas and just target solar.
Really?
And the reason because that is first off, I'm huge on door knocking, bro. I believe that you make your own luck in this industry. So I mean that's a part of my discipline, consistent schedule. Like you got to hit the doors, bro. You got consistently. It's not when you feel like it.
Yeah, dude.
It's on your schedule.
Man, hey, knock them damn doors, baby. That's how you gonna make money.
You have
Only
to.
way.
But there are days that I'll literally just drive around and just hit solars. And the reason for that is because it's not a commodity. It's like my closing ratio on solar is a lot higher than just knocking a regular door. Not only that, but here's why it's kind of like I would say it's like a 400% increase is because if I close at twice the ratio and then I also make twice the amount of money on that, you're talking about times two. It's 4. It's a multiplier by 4. So that's why I say those days are worth so much more than just like, not to say that they're worth so much more because, you know, you got to get the reps in, you got to hit them. And not every house does have solar. So, I mean, there are some storms where you'll drive around the entire area one day and it's just like, okay, I knocked all the solars. Now you got to go back to reality. You got to hit the roofs.
But you got to go get everything.
Reset, it's beautiful, bro. You make so much more money. The value you can provide to these people too. Dude, you're knocking on this. Hey, when did you get solar? Oh, it's been 5 years. Solar company's still in business. No, they're not in business. We can change that, you know. And some people, it's like, dude, stop. Are you a roofer? Stop knocking on my door. No, I'm here for the solar. I'm talking about this. Oh, yeah, we have no warranty on our solar. Hey, we can change that.
Yeah, that's
a game changer.
Yeah, and I think that's like one of the biggest things too is that like, you know, we're not just positioning ourselves in the market to, you know, obviously, you know, we make sure that everyone makes a fair profit, right? Everyone's got to make money in this deal when it comes from a general contractor to a subcontractor relationship. But we always talk about it here, right? It's like our mission is to protect as many homeowners who've invested in solar as we possibly can. And how we do that is we work with roofing companies to give them a pathway to a warranty. And what does that in turn do? That gives you guys a leg up at the door, right? That's how I trained your guys whenever you guys all came in. I said, look, when you're knocking these solar doors, you've got to go approach it as, hey, I'm concerned about this $30,000, $60,000, $80,000, $90,000 investment that you have on your house. We'll talk about the hail later. Let's talk about this real quick. And it's immediate differentiator at the door. And I think you've just been like the best example so far who's actually taken that concept and ran with it, and it's proven in the model, right? And that is what, you know, the whole thing of what PV Nationals we're trying to do is to do exactly that. Is to, if we can get, you know, more people that would understand this is not a commodity, this is a true value add to roofing homeowners, right? Because we always talk about the end user when it comes to this industry, that's who gets affected the most, right? And I will even say that you guys were doing good before you guys met us. Like the company that you guys are with, I know those guys. They were licensed electrical contractors. You guys weren't voting homeowner warranties, which is like you guys were already above the market 90% at that rate, right? And they didn't have the warranties we offer, all that different kind of stuff. But the end user is hands down the one who gets affected the most, which is the consumer, right? You've got 90% of the market in Dallas-Fort Worth that hires the $100, $120 panel guy who's not licensed, is just a crew that go out there and do it. Well, what happens if the system goes down? What happens if a microinverter goes down? Like these solar companies, they're not cash flush enough to actually service their warranties, because if they're only doing stuff for $100 a panel, they got to get to the next job. They don't have the crew, the staff. They don't have the resources to actually service your client's $30, $60, $80, $90,000 investment. So I guess, you know, what kind of feedback have you heard from homeowners about us? You know, tell me a little bit about that.
It's been great, man. Like I said, what is the statistic out of solar companies that go out of business in 3 years? Like 60% or something like that, right?
It's a massive amount. It's like at this point now, after like tightening some, like it's over 70%. Like if you go knock 10 doors, 7 of those people will not have a service provider anymore.
I see it 100%. So that alone, just like having a company that you know is going to stand the test of time. Like you guys are doing things right. Like you guys are going to be good. But dude, it's just like every aspect of. Braden calls me the last couple of days, couple surveys. He's like, "Hey, what was your experience on this job? What was your experience on this job?" And one, I was like, hey, I would change this. Or other than that, great. Next one, he's like, dude, can you like nitpick something? I'm like, dude, I can't. Like everything was great. Like that's what we want on the roofing side, and the fact that, especially in a world of subcontractors, where it's like, hey, I'm gonna be there at 9 a.m. and then you get there at 11 and stuff like that. Yeah. I think that's why subcontractors usually don't have their own business, is because they lack that communication.
Right,
and
they're just a crew,
stuff.
not a company.
Correct. But you guys are you guys are a subcontractor, but you guys, hey, time window 2 hours. We're gonna be there. You're there. It gets done. Everything's, dude. It's just like beautiful. To be honest,
man, I really appreciate that, because that's over the last 6 years, I just like we've worked really hard to get to that point.
Good.
And I'm glad that you guys, that's one thing we've started implementing recently, is like, we're going to be doing job surveys after every single job. So I know you're probably going to get annoyed at them because you do so many, but we're still going to call you and be like,
all
hey.
right, so next job survey, I'm going to be like, Braden, the only thing that's pissed me off is you keep calling me. Everything's fine. I'll tell you when
I'll let you know
bad.
when it sucks, right? Man, that's so great, dude. And I guess my next question here is what would you advise, like, because let's be honest, everyone in Dallas Fort Worth at this point now, I would say like 4 or 5 years ago, detach and resets were relatively taboo. Like roofers didn't really know how to handle them. There was, even now there's still a major lack of like a gap in education, but people are starting to understand that roofing companies are inevitably going to run into solar jobs. So based off kind of your experiences, what would you recommend to another roofing company when it comes to, because they're going to put it on their work order, whether they're hiring I talked to a roofing contractor the other day that is using a subcontract that charges $285, and they don't know, and they're not supplementing anything. So the roofing, and this is an at-will situation. They're not using original installers or anything like that. They've got a subcontractor that's charging exact amount pricing, they're not making any money, but they're putting it on their work order. So it's like, you guys are just you're taking all the liability on a pass-through, and no one's making any money on the detachment.
They make $1 a panel.
Yeah, make $1 a panel. You made $30 on this job, man. So what would you advise to other roofing companies when it comes to, if you're putting the detach and reset on your work order, what would you suggest them to look at? And if they're not putting it on their work order and they're just farming it out and letting them deal directly with homeowners, would you suggest against that?
Say it again.
Okay, so let's say two scenarios. One, they've already got a detach and reset contractor, and or they're putting them on their work orders, right? Like when a roofing rep signs a deal, they're gonna put the detach and reset on their work order.
Your company doesn't do better work than PV National, and you're not making as much money as you would if you were working with PV National in that situation. In the other instance, if they're just saying, hey, we don't even want to touch detach and reset, homeowner can deal directly, I would say, once again, you have the opportunity to wow this company. They're going to go with the company that's not as good as PV National, and once again, you're missing out on the money that PV National supplements for.
Yeah. And that's and that's just kind of one of the big things here, is that there's such a major, and that's what we're doing stuff like this, is to try to get the word out there even more, that even if they're making money on the $100 panel guy, the amount of liability that they're taking on is crazy.
For sure.
Like, why would you want to hire a guy at $100 a panel and avoid every warranty on that homeowner's house just so you can make $150 a panel? That makes no sense to me. So you would say, just how would you would look at it and say, okay, if you're going to choose, you just call PV National? Is that what you would say? Or just in general, right? Because I know that you guys as a company, I'm trying to obviously we know we want to pump up PV National and all that stuff, but that's really not like the main driver as to why I really want this to be educational. So, besides the money, what would you say, like, if they're going to put on their work orders, what should you look out for? Like when you're hiring a DNR guy?
One, the master electrician's license. Yep. I think that's huge.
Yep.
Two, having a warranty in place, because usually if you use another detach and reset company, it voids the original warranty.
Yep.
So a lot of people go with, hey, can we call your original solar company, have them come back out? Sometimes they're in business. A lot of times they're not.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do in that situation? You need a warranty. That's such a value add. So whenever we're talking about a commoditized industry, you need something that sets you apart from everybody else. The warranty that PV National, and we got you from 10 years to lifetime now, which I don't really think that's a big difference. The amount of hail that we get in DFW, you're likely going to replace it 10 years anyways.
For sure.
That's why we do a lifetime warranty because yes, we stand behind our work, but also I mean, hell, you're gonna get hit with hail.
It's going to happen again. So
For
you would
sure.
say like the big things, guys, make sure that you guys have a master electrician, not just a master electrician, but a Texas electrical contracting license. That's what saves all the liability. And then make sure the warranties are good. Like those are the two main driving factors of whether or not you're going to be in a good situation, right? Like if you're a roofing contractor and you are hiring the 100 to 125 panel a guy, like just know that you most likely are in a situation to where you're voiding warranties. And the last thing that you want to do is be on the hook for someone's $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 solar system where you that $100 panel guy, or God forbid, like letting their roofing crews actually do the detach and reset, which is diabolical. But don't do that. Okay, that makes total sense, man. And I think that you know, I guess kind of give me some what is we'll wrap it back around to kind of Lone Star, right? So what are y'all's goals that you can share openly? What are some of y'all's goals for 2026? And what are you most excited about for those goals?
Yeah, so great question. So in 2025, that was kind of like the way I viewed it was like a lot of stuff was changing in my life. So like that was the goal of just like I'm in the weeds, I'm doing the work, and just willing my way to my personal sales revenue goals, but then also the company.
Sure.
And dude, we're right on track. We're about to lock in one. It's 585,000. We already signed it, but once supplements come back, we should cross over our annual goal. So absolutely incredible. It's the largest job that we've ever done.
Is
Not
that
in
the
terms of
one that
revenue.
Hunter did? The one that Hunter signed?
No,
No?
this is a different one.
Okay,
Nah,
gotcha.
I'll tell you about it. It's like a ranch.
That's what I
But
thought that was. Okay.
nah, this is a
Okay.
different one. But
Okay.
dude,
That place looks insane.
that's gonna push us over. So that one's gonna be a
go.
good one.
Come on.
And then as far as 2026, it's
Yeah.
kind of we willed our way to our revenue goals in 2025. 2026 is really like we have separation of like, hey, here's targets in this department, this department, this department,
Yep.
and in this department, and this department, and that's how we're gonna do it. It's
Yep.
a lot of keep our guys winning at an extremely high level, pushing them to accomplish their goals, not our goals for them, but
Right.
what do you guys want to accomplish?
Yep.
Which our guys, dude, they got big goals.
It's
So
amazing.
helping them accomplish their goals, and then really, man, we just need more guys at this point. It's
Yeah.
just rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Once you have a proven blueprint, it's just like, hey, like-minded people are going to be attracted to that. We don't
Yeah.
have to go out and hire on Indeed or job. What is it? Wise Hire, stuff like that. We don't need
ZipRecruiter,
that
all
sort
that
of stuff.
Yeah.
It's all our stuff's organic, man. All our people are just like, hey, I've been following you. I just see you guys are doing things differently, and it's
Yep.
just rinse and repeating that. So
Right, winning is contagious, bro. Like
It is.
when you're winning and you're doing the right things, like it is absolutely contagious. And so, I say it all the time, like growing and scaling are two different ball games. Sounds like you guys did a lot of growing this year,
For
right?
sure.
And I think from what it sounds like, when it comes to different departments, setting different numbers and measurables in those different kind of categories other than sales, right? That's what helps a company scale, right?
Sure.
Not, okay, we can do 2x, whatever it may be, but like, okay, how do we actually 10x this thing within the next 2.5 years, 3 years? I think the scaling and scaling comes from really, and that's kind of what has happened here at PV National is that we've grown every year, but this is the first year we've scaled. Like we 4x'd our employee count. We over like almost 4x'd our total top line revenue. Our bottom line revenue is way stronger than it's ever been. But at this point now, we grew from like almost like we grew from so we went from a sophisticated crew to a company. We've got all different kind of divisions that have their own scorecard metrics, their own measurables, their own things that they're going for. And I'm really excited to see kind of how Lone Star is going to be able to implement that with you and Brett kind of at the helm of this thing. I'm super excited to see what you guys can do.
Me too, brother. I think it comes down to leadership. I think
100%.
I think leadership is how I define leadership is like owning an outcome. And when you think about it like that, like when I say there's 5 different departments, dude, it can't be me. It can't be Brett.
No,
like
you can't wear all the hats. Yeah.
Like when you're doing low revenue numbers or like you're shooting for like, hey, I want to do $1 million in revenue as a sales rep, you can will your way to that level. You can leverage it. You don't need too much leverage.
Right.
You're not leveraging $20 million company like by yourself.
No.
You need leadership and dude, all the credit goes to my team. It's not me, it's not Brett, it's our team.
Yeah.
And I think we give them the right tools, the training, and the environment for them to succeed. And when you do that, bro, you take care of your people take care of everything else.
Yeah.
So
That's
having
awesome.
leaders, bro, and empowering them to actually take hold of that and actually be able to earn equity and, actually take things to another level. It's not just going to be us, bro. We want everybody to win. If it was just us, I mean, dude, we could probably retire right now, to be honest.
Yeah, that's something I will definitely say about you guys is that like whenever we, kind of first started going in this partnership and, we kind of showed that, what we said we can do, we can do. One thing about Zach and Brett both is that like, man, they've put me in contact with so many people. They want to see it. And it's not even just like your guys at Lone Star, like PV National. Do we represent Lone Star when we do these detach and resets? Absolutely. We also represent ourselves, of course, but whenever you guys hire us to do a job, like we're representing Lone Star at that particular time.
For sure.
And one thing I will say about these guys is like they truly want to see like people that they associate with and they partner with, like they want to see everybody win. I'm sure you guys want to see your roofing crews win. You guys want to be able to I'm sure you want to see those guys win to the highest degree that they can, right? Not just the guys who are selling for you.
For sure.
So which I will say like a true testament to you guys' character. And like this partnership has been fantastic. It's been like the ideal partnership, right? Like both parties understand the value. No one's getting greedy. We're just going out there serving customers and doing what we can to push the needle forward. And I think that's what is so exciting and kind of about this partnership is like, hey, we're looking to scale too, man. Like we're not, and we love doing that alongside other organizations. And I love picking your brain. Like, dude, I went out to their office and he helped me kind of put together some strategies on how I can get some more business. And, just can't thank you enough for that, dude. You guys are salt of the earth over there. And, yeah, man, I think that kind of wraps up unless you got some like closing thoughts or anything like that. Like, this is like my first time doing a podcast like with a guest, so forgive me, guys, if this wasn't exactly perfect, but we gave it a shot. And can't thank you for taking the time to come out here, man. I look forward to doing a lot more stuff in the future and getting some content with you, content with you, Lone Star boys.
For sure, I appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely.
Forever grateful for our partnership with PV National. And guys, if you are a roofing contractor in the DFW area and you do not have a detach and reset company, highly recommend calling Austin with PV National.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, guys, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the last episode before the end of the year. We've got some great stuff cooking up coming in the new year. I'm excited to share with you all, man. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.